welcome to another episode of All Things Money. I'm your host, Fatima Attarwala. And today we have a slightly different format. Instead of an in-studio one guest, we have a panel of distinguished guests. We have Ben Warrington, who is the head of Lahore office, British High Commission. We have Naseer, who is the CEO of Infotech Group. And we have Amir Anzur, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of the Pakistan Software Export Board. So the focus today would be on Pakistan's relationship with the UK, especially in terms of an export market, and especially in terms of our IT exports, the latest growth engine of exports of Pakistan. Hello, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you all.
Good to
Thank
be
you.
on.
It's a pleasure being here.
Great. So my first question to you would be to Ben. Ben, how important is Pakistan for UK? So I know that UK is a very important market for Pakistan, be it for rice exports, be it for textile exports, be it for IT exports. But how does UK perceive Pakistan as a partner?
So it's a really good question. And I think the very short answer is hugely important. The slightly longer answer, to make sure this podcast is not 5 minutes long, is that our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has economic growth, as quite literally the UK government's number one priority. What that means in practice is about building relationships or closer relationships on trade and investment with all of our sort of partners around the world. When you look at a country like Pakistan, with the sort of 1.6 million diaspora members in the UK, the fact that we've already got about 4.6 billion pounds worth of trade between the two countries, there's a huge potential for us to do more. We've also just launched in the last few weeks our new modern industrial strategy in the UK. So this is about trying to focus in on what we are calling sort of high priority sectors in the UK, where we can be sort of boosting growth. Many of these are very well aligned with Pakistan's strengths, including on sort of technology and digital innovation, which we're talking about today. So we've got the sectors, we've got Pakistani diaspora links, we've got that huge potential youth population that we have here. So I'd like to think that Pakistan is very well positioned to sort of grow economic ties with the UK.
And in terms of IT exports to the UK, India is usually the country in the region which is associated with having the tech know-how. But when I talk to people on the ground, they often tell me that Pakistan has a strong IT export sector as well. It's just not as well publicized. So how do UK companies perceive Pakistan in terms of tech exports, IT exports? As I understand, we recently had a London Tech Week in which Pakistan had a strong showing.
Exactly. So I think in some ways you've almost half answered it there. So Pakistan has a growing tech sector. Colleagues on the call will be able to talk about sort of their perspective on that. But events like London Tech Week, which we had in June, are about sort of bringing those representatives from all around the world to London to sort of show off and showcase the skills and I think particularly the sort of niche areas of strength that they have. We're pleased to know that Pakistan had a very strong delegation at London Tech Week. It was actually what we would define as the sort of largest delegation from the whole of the Middle East, Afghanistan and Pakistan region, which I think is a sign of how seriously Pakistan is taking its technology sector. I think the sort of final part just to say is that obviously technology, perhaps more than other sectors, is by its very nature interconnected globally. And so it's crucial for the Pakistan sector, but also the UK's, that we are sort of identifying opportunities to collaborate and join up going forward.
Great. My next question, Amir, would be to you that how do Pakistan and Pakistani companies market themselves abroad? There are so many negative associations with Pakistan. Right now, we are in a good place, I think, globally. A lot of things have improved for us, but generally, the association with Pakistan has been negative. So how do you convince customers that no, as a company, we are strong, we have IT experts, we have the expertise, and we have the internet to deliver?
So it's about building trust, right? So the companies here are able to build trust with the UK and go out and launch. So what we do is, as Pakistan Software Export Board, we go to these events like London Tech Week, where companies meet in person. So, when you meet someone in person, you're much more likely to do business with them. So that is one way. Then you've got lead generation. Internet is, everyone's now used to it. And so that is happening.
Everybody's now used to it, but the government doesn't always provide smooth internet. So when there were internet disruptions, there was this huge hue and cry from the IT, from the tech. So your experience as well?
It has gotten better. And basically, we're always working to make it the best infrastructure possible. IT is really high priority on our government's list. We've got $4
Mm-hmm.
billion dollars worth of exports at the moment, and our target is 30 billion by 2030. So we know as government that IT is the services angle that's going to get us there the quickest. So the government is pushing on all fronts. It's not perfect. We're learning, and we're learning how to build that infrastructure to build capacity. We've got great STZAs, special technology zones. We've got tax incentives. It's one of the countries which is one of the best in order to attract IT investment into the country. We've got $300 million worth of exports to the United Kingdom in terms of software and IT and ITES services. That's our second biggest market after the United States. And so there's a lot of cultural ties with the United Kingdom. A lot of students are doing the A levels. It's part of the Commonwealth. And if you do business within the Commonwealth, it saves you something like 1.5% because a lot of your laws and there's a lot of efficiency that happens within the businesses. So there's a lot of room to work not just with the United Kingdom, but then as a leaf out of that with the whole Commonwealth as well. So the things are, priority is the IT sector. And yeah, we're going into it as best we can.
You mentioned the $30 billion target. Now, as I understand, that requires a growth rate of 28%. How practical is that?
Well,
28 billion, 30 billion by 2030.
Well, we're growing at about 22% a
Mhm.
year. What we need to do is go even faster. And so we're bringing in initiatives in place, like we're building in a IT park in Islamabad. It'll open up in another big one in Karachi too. It's the biggest park, 750,000 square feet in Pakistan will open up shortly after August. And we're investing quite a bit in skills development. We work with partners like FCDO, the Ministry of IT and Telecoms, to make sure that IT gets out there as quickly as possible.
That's great. But when you talk about skills development, how much of that is AI, because that's the latest buzz? And which skills in particular are you developing? Like, is it coding? Is it, I don't know. I don't actually know the different aspects of software, but what skills in particular are being developed, and what's the socio-economic group that is being developed? Is it like the rich
So
kids from slums, or is it like the ones who have the matric degree?
So we're putting in a lot more effort on soft skills. So we learned
Mhm.
that if you just teach the hard skills like coding, etc., they might even,
Mhm.
not to scare people, but disappear, or you need to enhance them through AI, etc. But soft skills are going to be around selling, marketing, all these skills, communication skills, those skills as well. So what we're doing is bringing in programs that will enhance people's soft skills. So every technical degree or every technical diploma will have some element of soft skills with it too,
Right.
as
My
much as
next
we can put
question,
in.
Mr. Haris, if you would,
Right.
what has been your experience working in Pakistan in terms of IT experts, in terms of regulatory environment, in
Ye-
terms of how customers abroad view Pakistan?
Okay. Thank you, Fatima. I think you asked two questions in one. So the experience of working in Pakistan with the Pakistani workforce, I think that is, I mean, I'm a big proponent of the talent, the immense talent that Pakistan has. All these great companies that are coming out of Pakistan are built on the backs of the great men and women that work for us, right? And there's tremendous hunger for growth, hunger for learning. I'll just talk maybe perhaps later about how that's being channeled through the initiatives like the London Tech Week and the broader outreach initiative that Pakistan does. Uh, as for the regulatory framework, I think it's a mixed bag. So from there has been a pro-industry policy. The government has been the best part about the IT sector is that there is a constant communication between the industry and the government. It doesn't happen on once a year, twice a year basis. There's this constant conversation on how to do more. The PSEB is aligned on the growth initiatives. The industry is behind them. Yes, we can disagree on certain things, but that's part of the game. But in general, the regulatory framework has been fairly supportive of the industry, and if it continues to be this supportive, if it continues to have the same kind of initiative, the same kind of priority that we've seen in the earlier years, in the previous years, I have no doubt that Pakistan can meet the target that Amir just mentioned. And you mentioned about the growth rate. I'd just like to touch upon that. So yes, the industry right now is growing at about close to about 20-25% year on year. But when you talk about the explosion of the IT industry, you have to see it through two lenses. One is a lens of how or what is coming out of the industry as an export potential or as a revenue potential in general. So there's a lot. Pakistan has traditionally always been a very services driven IT sector. So we provide a lot of outsourcing, back-end services, software development services, various kinds of IT services. But then there's another element which is the product side. So coming up with these great world-class global scale products, which initially you rightly mentioned that maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, there are other countries that have taken sort of like a leap in that segment. But with AI, with cloud, with all the new technologies that are coming, and they are this great equalizer for everyone. And I think there are a lot of potential product areas that come out of Pakistan that if grown globally, then the growth curve is not actually linear. The growth curve is then exponential, right? So you're not looking at a 20% year-on-year growth. If you do come up with these products that really create an impact at a global scale, you're looking at the three-figure percentage growth, and that really if that happens, the $30 billion target is going to be much sooner than what Amir mentioned.
Could you give an example of what kind of products could allow us to
I'll give an example of one of the largest and oldest exporters of Pakistan. It's NetSol, right? They are in this asset finance software business, and I think right now they are perhaps the top three providers of that particular product in the world, and they're right at the stage where it's ready to explode. And it for NetSol to become like a unicorn in the next 4 or 5 years, I will not be surprised. And then there's another company called PureMD in the healthcare space. That's a really fast growing company in the US, and now their next leap is to bring their product into markets like the UK, KSA, and Germany, and all these other places. And then once you have that critical mass of that product behind you, then it's only a matter of time and really the financing that you put into the growth. And reaching that exponential level of growth then becomes a very quick journey.
So
these are just the two examples off the top of my head. I'm sure if I dig in more, I can come up with a lot more for you.
My next question was that Amir mentioned special technology zones. Now, Pakistan invested a lot on special economic zones, SEZs, and nothing really materialized. So what makes you think that the STZs, special technology zones, would be any different from SEZs, special economic zones?
I do. So SPZs do have great incentives for companies that either want to go and develop their businesses there or just want to be tenants in these zones. There is a great amount of incentive on our biggest capital cost is infrastructure that we provide to our resources, right? There's a great incentive there. There's tax benefits. There's subsidized utilities and things like that. I'm not exactly sure of all the things. So the pace of adoption, I must admit, can be quicker. It is. I know for a fact that a lot of companies, IT companies, have filed applications for either being a developer or an enterprise in the STZA. Perhaps one thing that the industry has always been advocating is that with special economic zones and with IT industry, you don't need to have a physical area to house everyone together, right? We are a very virtual. So there's this concept that we're working and advocating with SPDA that, you can create these virtual software technology zones where, if I have already invested in my offices, in 4 cities in Pakistan, why should I be required to then move them to a physical location, which is called an SPDA? With technology, all we need is basically reliable internet, reliable and consistent policy, and a skilled workforce. And we'll give you the results. We don't need to physically be together in order to produce that outcome that we promise. So that's perhaps one thing that can really expedite the growth and the real outcome which is expected out of the STZAs is creating these clusters or virtual STZA. There are a lot of different ways that can be done. So that area that can be sped up. But from an incentive point of view, I do believe that there is a good set of incentives there for the industry to grow and bring the results that is intended of it.
Amir, if I were to touch on the incentives that Horace just mentioned, again, going back to an earlier point, internet has always been a pain point. 5G, Spectrum, Starlink, all of that comes in conversation and then it goes away. And then there's a frequent internet disruptions. Muharram, while we are recording, it's Muharram. I'm sure on the 9th and 10th of Muharram, there are going to be internet disruptions. So within that ecosystem, how can the government incentivize IT experts?
So the government wants more exports, right? So we do want everyone to be able to grow their companies, create jobs, and be a reliable source of income through IT. And IT, as you saw, is growing at 22%. The disruptions will go less and less, and especially when you
Well, that is
notice
the hope. The disruptions will go less and less, but that has not been the experience over the past few years, has it?
it's gotten better. It's gotten better. Like in this month, you wouldn't have noticed it as much as maybe in the past. And
Disruptions and politics seem to go hand in hand. When there is political stability, there are no disruptions. When there's no political stability, there are disruptions. X got unblocked because of the war. If the war would not have happened, we would not even have access to X. So, I mean, to say that IT experts are contingent on political stability seems a bit like, I mean, because right now we have a period of political stability, but that's not always the case.
This is, we're all in it together as a team, right? Government, private sector, etc. We all have to build a brand, and brand Pakistan is very important. That was one of your questions in the beginning.
Yes.
And we can sometimes be negative publicly, and that shoots us in our own feet. There's many countries where you cannot talk negative about what's happening in your own.
It's called freedom of speech. Being
It's
able to
not.
speak negatively about your government.
Pakistan, it's a blessing and a curse that we have such freedom of speech that you can criticize government and the government works for a change. I'm a British-born Pakistani. I moved back to Pakistan a year ago, and I see, and I've spent a third of my life in entrepreneurship, a third in private sector with Accentures and Deloitte's, and then a third in governments. And I see people here working really hard hours, long hours. The minister of IT and Telecom, Fatima Attarwala, the Prime Minister, Shawaz Sharif, all the way down, all these people, like in my offices, you would think that, it's government laid back, all these things, but that's a perception. But we have to change that. The truth is that people really do care. They do want what's best for the country. Pakistan has a GDP per capita of $1,500 a year. The United Kingdom is about $42,000 a year, and the United States is $73,000 a year. what we have with now, everyone has this phone in their hand, the smartphone. Bill Gates used to say in the 90s, we want a computer in every home. Now every home does have a mobile phone. And so that means that they've got this access to AI and ChatGPT and all these other tools that can leapfrog our country into the next dimension. And so that does mean, yes, the government has to put in a lot of effort to build the infrastructure, whether it's the Spectrum or Starlink, but also people have to do their bit in creating a better brand for Pakistan, because what we found at London Tech Week is people are very passionate about brand Pakistan, the diaspora, the 1.6 million, and then 11 million almost diaspora across the world. That's bigger than the population of Switzerland. That's bigger than the population of Sweden. That's just the Pakistani diaspora alone. And 5.5 million people are born in the country every year. That's bigger than the population of Finland. So there's a lot of, we're dealing with big numbers of people, and we need people to show them the way and talk positivity, right? What's the good about this place? We've got a lot of talent. Average age is 21 years old. In Europe, it's in the 40s, right? So we've got this talent that's hungry, that's now tech savvy, and government, it's my personal opinion, should try to get out of the way as much as possible and let people do the business and set, they have to bring in some regulation, but as much as possible, set it so that people can go about doing their business, whether it's freelancing, whether it's growing a company like Harris. These guys are entrepreneurs. Harris's company has hundreds of 800 odd people. That's, creating jobs. And that's what we need, more people like him to do this. Now, our job is just to facilitate, take these companies out of the country. We subsidize them together with TDAP. We work with FCDO to bring them, connect them to good businesses in the United Kingdom, access that they wouldn't have if they were going by themselves. And it's like having a caring big brother that takes you around, opens doors, and does this.
I think a lot of Pakistan's tech growth came from entrepreneurs like Mr. Harris, and that it's when the tech sector proved itself that the government turned into the caring big brother that you are talking about right now. So I think it is a kudos to the people and to the talent of Pakistan to get where it is, because initially, in the initial days, I don't think that sector had that much support.
Just to be fair on that, yes, it has become a priority sector now ever since we have shown the growth, primarily post-COVID. But I must admit that companies like Infotech and other companies like ourselves, we have always been supported by the likes of PSEB. Amir just joined a year ago. I've been interacting with them for the past couple of decades, to be honest. And we've always found support. They may not have always had the resources to give us everything that we wanted. And that's primarily because of their constraints and resource constraints. But they've never been shy of the will to support the industry. So I would second Amir's voice here that everyone in the PSEB, in the ministry, has always been very, very willing, and everyone sort of works as a team. And this is the beauty that I see in the IT sector, that all of yes, we have great arguments as well, but everyone has this one great cause that this is the sector that's going to take Pakistan to the next level, and we truly believe in that.
So we talk about NetSol, we talk about Infotech, big companies, and how the government is supporting them. But then it's a very fragmented industry, right? I mean, you have so many people on Upwork, on Fiverr, all the small freelancers who are just operating outside the house. So can we also talk about how fragmented the economy is and what support there is for the little guy?
So
Harris, Amir, either one of you.
I think Amir is better positioned to take that. I can jump in later.
So I mean, this is in America, you have Main Street, what they call, and then you have the Walmarts that come take over. Now, if you, the corporate America, now in Pakistan, you'll notice that if you go in around the shops and it's small mom and pop stores rather than large corporations. And I think we are an entrepreneurial nation. And so people do want to just start off on build their own company and do this. Now, I used to also preach about just getting into entrepreneurship and do your own business and create jobs. But I think oftentimes when you join a company like Infotech Group or NetSol or Systems, you learn how to work. You get paid while you're learning. So if you can join a big company for a year, for a couple of years, and then do your own thing, that's great. Or you can have this opportunity to grow with these companies. Now, my own career began at Accenture and in 1999, and Accenture has now 750,000 employees, and 400,000 of those employees are in India, right? And they have zero employees in Pakistan. It's the same with a lot of big brands like the Deloittes and of the world, that we need to start getting corporations to come here. So one of the things that as a personal agenda that I'm talking to my own CEO is, how do we get corporates into Pakistan? Because corporates, they pay them the best money. They're more structured in the way they train the young people in sales and marketing and how to develop, how to look, how to dress up for the occasion. A lot of people, I see freelancers start when they're part-time in university and no one's mentoring them. There's no guide that's showing them the way to go to the next level. And entrepreneurship is hard work. Any entrepreneur will tell you that there's years of struggle, years, and it's not easy being an entrepreneur that people have to go through. So if we can facilitate this journey, and this is where we work with entities like FCDO, who's bringing in capital into the country as well, facilitate capital so that more things can be done. We at the moment, what I felt is when I was in the United Kingdom, it was easier for me to start a business because I could take out a loan, a startup loan, or go to a bank and have that. In Pakistan, it's not so easy to get a loan to start up a business. But on the other hand, everyone has their features. In Pakistan, the family system is quite strong. So what happens is you go to your uncle or you live in a joint family system that someone else is earning and you can do your startup because you just need a laptop to get started. So these are the things that we have to be aware of. And what I'm going to be preaching, and I'll preach all the time, is we have to work on brand Pakistan. And brand Pakistan will come when we start not sharing our dirty laundry publicly on social media and criticizing public government, but start saying, okay, this is what I can do in my capacity to help the country go from $1,500 GDP per capita to 15,000. How do we get to that as quickly as possible? And these apps like App Annie and Duolingo, they teach you language skills. We've got opportunities with China. We've got opportunities with the United Kingdom. United Kingdom had Brexit a few years ago. And so the United Kingdom is looking to grow its trade partners beyond just Europe. And so that's the opportunity for Pakistan, countries like Pakistan, where they can take advantage and say, okay, United Kingdom, you're a country of 65 million. Pakistan is 240 million. Why don't we do trade? And trade that we can give them access to our markets. And United Kingdom, it's also a services economy. And we can go capture markets in the United States or other parts of the world. Because when we go digital, we need to start looking at figures like what gross domestic product means, GDP, and say, okay, where should we target our industries? So it's exciting, and I'm very excited because I've been here a year now, and I see so much opportunity, so many hustlers like Harris's company. They take care of 35% of the African stock exchanges. So all of those stock exchanges, and Harris, maybe you could fill up on that, is done by Infotech Group. So that when I learned these types of sound bites, that was great to see that we're not just relying on domestic but international targets that we can go to.
Yes, definitely. I would love to know more about how a Pakistani company is managing, like, what, 35% of the African stock market. That's a story that needs to get out there.
Yeah, so we develop we provide this we have this software platform that manages trading for stock exchanges for their various types of asset classes, and we have about 8 or 9 out of the 17 exchanges in Africa that do their daily trading on our platform. It is developed 100% in Lahore. It is managed and serviced from our various service centers. Of course, we have service centers, and we have business continuity offices outside of Pakistan, in case something happens like an internet disruption. But the technology is 100% Pakistani. The people that have developed it are amazing engineers, men and women from Pakistan. And the next step for us is now, and this is what Amir brought in the concept. I generally don't like talking about my own company, but this is sort of what we see our growth journey as well, right? So we are at that sort of tipping point where we are now. We have proved our product. We have scaled our product in Africa in let's say the smaller markets as compared to maybe the UK or the Europe or other Western markets. But now we have all the ingredients in place to become really this global provider for this specific technology and go on and challenge the big boys of this sector. And I'm very, very excited and very, very hopeful that that's going to be the case in less than 5 years from now.
Wow, that is very inspirational. My next question to you, Ben, would be that, so we have inspirational stories like Infotech and as explained by Haris of how good local technology is. So, but as Amir also pointed out, we do not have a lot of big corporations in Pakistan. So assume that I'm a big corporation and I want UK investors. What can I do to convince them to invest in Pakistan? That's one question. And the second question is, say I'm a small guy. I work out of my father's office. I have only 2 people working for me. What can I do to get some customers, some, like, not a big project like Haris mentioned, like African stock market, but some small, a few $100,000 a year project. So what can locals do to attract Pakistani investment on a large scale and on a micro scale?
2 good questions. And I suppose part of what Haris just said was around the ingredients. Since my first 6 months in Pakistan, I've met lots of fantastic people such as Haris who have A, huge amounts of potential, but B, sort of really showing the strengths of Pakistan's sector and what it could become already. I think the sort of ingredients from a UK perspective about investment in, and I'll come on to what that means in terms of in return, I think are threefold. So I mentioned before that we've just launched our new industrial strategy, and technology is a major part of that. At its heart, and again, without going through the detail, it's about sort of reducing the costs for business, improving infrastructure, and sort of reducing the sort of regulatory burden that businesses might face, particularly in the technology sector. We already offer the lowest sort of corporation tax within the G7. We already have really good sort of research and development grants and incentives. I think for us, it's those aspects plus what we as a British High Commission team can provide to Pakistani companies. So we have a dedicated team across Islamabad, Lahore, where I am, and Karachi, whose whole job it is to try and facilitate economic connections in both directions. So as you say, that's about investment and trade to the UK, but likewise in return. The reason I want to get onto your question at the end around investment is, I think particularly for technology, everything is in two directions at the same time. So you've already heard that there's some fantastic Pakistani tech companies like Abacus, Systems, NetSol that you've already said, who have a really strong presence in the UK. The UK can also be seen by some of these companies as a platform for them expanding into the European and sort of global market. So it isn't the sort of UK as the end point. This is the UK as, for us, selfishly, the ideal location for them to expand their business, but also because of all of the sort of cultural and diaspora ties that we've discussed. It's a sort of ideal location to take forward. What you say about investment, I suppose, in the other direction, or what the sort of little people who run the smaller companies can support, maybe in two parts. I think firstly, you will all be aware, and many of your viewers as well, that the UK historically has had a really close sort of development and aid relationship with Pakistan. We still do that, and a lot of our focus now is on aspects around the economy, entrepreneurship, and growth. So again, without sort of getting into the details, there's sort of real opportunities there for entrepreneurs. Around large-scale investment, of course, when we have UK companies who are keen to expand outside of the UK internationally, if we think there is the right opportunities for them in Pakistan, as we would anywhere else in the world, we would be supporting them to make connections and to see what's what. I suppose just to come back to the beginning, in some ways, technology is about the ingredients. It's not for government to be dictating what those technologies of the future are. It's about us sort of harnessing, facilitating, enabling what is a very fast-moving sector, which is quite exciting, but also makes it difficult to predict the future.
Okay, so my last questions would be to Haris. One thing that keeps coming up is that a lot of remittances that are flowing in are actually not remittances, they are software exports that instead of being tabulated as exports are coming on as remittances. And then the other thing is that some of the payments are being made in crypto. If you could just quickly comment on that.
Okay, so to answer your first question, I do believe that could be the case with a lot of this freelance economy, because there are multiple ways of collecting payments outside of Pakistan and then bringing them as really as personal remittance or whatever or whichever. But it doesn't make any difference, because the freelancers, they enjoy the same tax incentives as the companies. So this really, I don't think, and Amir can probably weigh more on this, I don't think that there is any difference between them bringing money or whether they'll attract more taxes if they bring it in as an IT export as compared to if they bring it in as personal remittance, because they enjoy the same tax relief that the industry does. But yes, there has been we look towards State Bank to provide this data. So as for the companies, that I can assure, because the 80% export market from the companies are members of PSHA, the IT association, and we know that their banking is extremely regulated, very well documented. State Bank has all the numbers. So and we really can't, the customers that we work with, we really can't sort of bring in as personal remittances. So that's perhaps the case with the freelance sector more so. But that accounts for, if you look at the bigger picture, right? So State Bank reports about $400 million worth of remittances from the freelancers. It does pose a question that, yes, if we do have 2 million freelancers, we don't have any active data as to how many of them are doing active jobs on these various platforms. But then this number does seem low. So your comment would have some weight. But really, my suggestion would be to regularize that, because there's no difference in bringing it as an IT export or personal remittance. And as for crypto, I mean, this is very early for Pakistan. We've just recently, as you've seen, we've formed this crypto council, and things are going to be happening. As of right now, I don't think that's a prevalent way of any corporate payments or any work payments. I do feel that whatever payments around the crypto are primarily around either personal transfers or P2P payments, as in asset investments or things like that. Certainly in the IT industry, this is not a prevalent way of payment. There's no infrastructure available in the structured financial channels for crypto at the moment. There could be in the future, given the legitimization of this entire crypto. But as of right now, I would be very, very surprised if you find any regular receiving payments in crypto. I don't think that's just a myth, I believe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I think the main takeaway from this discussion was that there's a lot of potential in Pakistan. There's a lot of talent in Pakistan, and that the world is looking more kindly towards Pakistan right now. We just need a little bit more polish, a little bit more language skills, and most importantly, the right connections, which I think the governments, both the UK government and the Pakistani government, are working to build. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Fatma.
Thanks for
It's been a
having
pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
Keep doing good work.